Hello, 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 and happy birthday! Welcome back to this very special edition of Cook It and Eat It here on Jim Johnston Reviews the World. And today, I wanted to take a moment to give thanks and gratitude. And so I'm doing a special video today. This is for the birthday of a dear friend of mine by the name of Steven, hereby known as Steve. And Steve is a great friend of mine for a little over a decade now. He's really helped me through the thick and thin of life the last couple years where things haven't really been going very well for me. At all turns, Steven's been there and been a buddy. So in honor of Steven's birthday, today, as you're viewing this, I want to make a couple special recipes all in one video, and these are two of Steven's personal favorites. They're Christmas Eve traditions in his family, and I'm going to do my take on them. I'm actually, for a change, I'm not going to Jim Johnston them up very much. I'm going to stick very true to the original recipes as best I can. We're going to make sauce. First, we're going to get that going, and then we're going to make tuna meatballs. That's right, folks. Tuna meatballs and Italian tomato sauce. Steven is, of course, Italian and Swedish. Let's get started. Alright, these are Steve's grandmamas recipes from the old world. That would be Italy. And what we're going to need for this: one 46-ounce can of tomato juice. You're going to need a 14-ounce can of tomato puree. This, however, is a 28-ounce can, so we will be using half. You need one can of tomato paste, a quarter cup of olive oil. That's why I got the quarter cup out here. A quarter of an onion cut into big chunks, and a half of a green pepper also cut into big chunks. We're also going to need 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, probably a teaspoon of basil, and a teaspoon of black pepper. These could also be fresh herbs. You would use a couple sprigs and 2 cloves of garlic minced if you were going with the fresh seasonings. So that's what we need for the sauce. Let's get the sauce cooking because that needs a couple hours, and then we'll go in and we'll show you how we're going to do our tuna meatballs after that. Alright, so this is pretty much just an all the kids into the pool situation. I got my stock pot. We got this sucker warming up already. So first thing first, we're going to go with a quarter cup of olive oil. Let that start heating. Let me find my church key. Got my church key here. Now, if any of you know why I always call it this is like a can opener, but it's called a church key. So if any of you know why this kind of a deal here is called a church key, let me know down in the comments, because I don't actually know why they call it that. But we're going to pop a good hole in one side, and then just a couple air vents. This is how I do it. Chug-a-lug into the pot. I got things ready so we can go a little smoother. So as I said, we're going to need just a quarter of an onion and chunked up big, because according to the recipe, we discard the veggies when we're done. And then a half of a green pepper. I'm going to put the topper in there. And I'm going to go ahead and chunk this into half real quick. Toss that in. Then we're going to want half this can of tomato puree, or a 14-ounce can. So that's what we need. I'm just going to eyeball this and try to not make a mess. Splash more. And then our can of tomato paste. So we got our veggies in, we got all our tomato products in. So the last thing we're going to need here is our seasonings. 2 tablespoons of garlic, and then 1 of basil, and a so-called pinch of black pepper. There we have it. Let's give it a first stir. So alright, we're going to clamp the lid on this. We're going to bring this to a boil on medium heat. Once we get to a boil, we're going to reduce it to low and cook it for 1.5 to 2 more hours. So this is a slow and low. So we're going to let this thing get going. Alright. It's been about a half hour. This thing's come to a nice bubbly boil. So let's take the lid off and give it a stir. It is starting to smell up the kitchen. Something wonderful. Got a frying pan going here, and I am low toasting, basically drying out a piece of bread to make breadcrumbs for the tuna meatballs. So at this point, I'm going to turn this thing down to what I consider to be a low on this burner, and we're going to let that go another 1.5 to 2 hours. So we'll be making tuna meatballs very soon. Alright, step 2 of 4 for our very special Steven's birthday video today. So our sauce is doing its thing, hanging out, cooking, simmering away nice and low and slow. It smells wonderful in here. So now it is tuna meatball making time. I've never made or had tuna meatballs in any way, shape, or form, so this is going to be an adventure. I'm assuming they're going to be really good. I've had some of my buddy Steven's family home-cooked food before, and everything is very excellent, so I'm assuming this will be no different. So what we're going to need for this is 3 cans of tuna. These are the smaller 5-ounce cans, a quarter cup of breadcrumbs, and I made my own by drying out and smashing a piece of bread. You're gonna need a 1/4 cup of shredded mozzarella. We'll grab that in a few minutes. Then we're going to need 2 tablespoons of parsley, 2 tablespoons of basil, and garlic and black pepper to taste, and somewhere between 1 and 2 eggs mixed into the whole lot, and we'll see when we get into there if we need 1 egg or both eggs. So let's get started. I'm gonna go ahead and open up the tuna, and you put the tuna, not sure if I mentioned, this is tuna in olive oil, not in water, and we're gonna open these up and we're going to put the tuna and olive oil, everything into the package. So the directions real quick while I'm reading it off my iPad. Put tuna, including olive oil from the can, in a large bowl and break up tuna into pieces very well. So we have our handy dandy fork. Then you add breadcrumbs, mozzarella, parsley, basil, garlic powder, black pepper, mix together. Add your first egg, mix together, see if you got what you need to make meatballs. If not, you add the second egg. So we're gonna put that in the fridge when it's all done. Let it chill out for 30 minutes, let the breadcrumbs and everything else do its absorbing and let the flavors have a chance to meld. Then we'll take it back out and we will form our meatballs and we will move our sauce pot and start to saute these off in a frying pan. After that, we're gonna make our pasta to go with it, which will be ravioli today. Let me open up this tuna, get it in the bowl, and we'll come back to continue on. All right, we got our tuna here out of the cans, oil and all, and I did start to break it up a little bit. So let's assemble. Let's go in with our first egg, sprinkle the breadcrumb across top, and this breadcrumb should always be homemade. All right, we need a nice big dose of basil here, 2 tablespoons by my mathematicians. And then the same thing with our parsley, but I think I might be a little short. So lots of herbs in this. Yeah, so I'm gonna be a little short on the parsley, but that's all right because I actually thought I was out of parsley and had forgot to buy more. Then I found that I had a little bit left when I was going through my spices. A somewhat heavy teaspoon of garlic, a few grinds of black pepper. And when we start up, we're going to continue to break up that well-cooked canned tuna so that we're getting a consistency more like standard ground meat. See that egg getting in there and incorporating. The breadcrumb's going to soak up all that extra oil and juice. And not to be forgotten, we've got our 1/4 cup of shredded mozzarella. We'll stir this up a little more and see if it looks like we think we're going to need that second egg or not. Egg and meatballs works as a binder if you didn't know. And when I make my turkey meatballs that you can see previously on this channel in my turkey burger and meatball episode, I didn't use any binder. Give this a quick look. I think that's enough. I think that's enough moisture. I think that's enough binder. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and find a lid and refrigerate this for about a half hour before we come back and form and cook our meatballs. Look at that sauce bubbling away. Smell that. Smell-o-vision. It's wonderful. All right, we're back and we are ready to fry some meatballs. You can see here a little bit of leftover. I already fried a couple just to make sure that they were going to hold together, and I didn't want to add a second egg, and they were great. I can't show them to you because they disappeared. So we're going to grab our meat mixture out of the fridge. So I'm going to use a tablespoon, healthy tablespoon of each one. So a healthy tablespoon size. Roll it around, put it back in, and drop it in our hot pan. This pan has olive oil and it's heated over medium-high heat. Again, today we are doing a special birthday video for my good friend Steve, and this is 2 of his favorite recipes in the entire world. His grandmother's, his legit Italian immigrant grandmother's recipes for tomato sauce and tuna meatballs. As I record this, Steve's grandmother is still with us. Very interesting story of triumph, story of American exceptionalism. She grew up, came of age in Italy during the fascist regime of Mussolini, the therefore impending civil war. Little known, little talked about civil war that broke out in Italy during the war once they realized that Mussolini was a hack for Hitler. She survived all that. Her father spent time in military prison, POW camp during World War II. She immigrated to America at the age of 16, shortly after World War II, and her father eventually joined them some years later after spending some time in a couple other spots of the world after the war. Like I said, she's still with us to this day. Very happy with that. This video is coming to you special on a Saturday, right smack in the middle of our normally scheduled Thursday programming. I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these meatballs in, and we'll be back. All right, we're back. I've been cooking these meatballs, rolling them around. See, they got a little flattened out. That always happens with the way I make my meatballs, but it's all good in my opinion. They smell delicious. This sauce is smelling absolutely phenomenal. That's pretty much ready to go. So I think we're ready to move on to the next steps of this meal prep. I'd say if you don't really know, if you're not familiar, this is home-cooked Italian food, old world recipes. I'm doing it here in the 21st century, but I think we all know, most of us can admit, the best food you're ever gonna put in your body, home-cooked, low and slow. Somebody spent basically an entire day making that food. So let's get our meatballs out. These smell amazing, they look good. And Steve's grandmama, as I like to say, her original recipe actually had you cooking the meatballs, browning them, and then cooking them in the sauce. Because these are tuna balls, and I got about a gallon of sauce here, I don't want to do that. So what we are going to do, though, for tonight's meal, is we're just going to get a couple ladles of sauce and let these meatballs marinate in this sauce while we cook our ravioli for our main dish. Oh, there was a piece of that onion fell out on there. Alright, there we go. So we're just going to let this sit off to the side and let these delicious tuna meatballs marinate in this sauce. And then all this we'll use to top our ravioli. I'm going to turn this all but off at this point because we don't really need it. This ends the Steven's grandmama portion of the recipes, and this next bit is all me. So this is my method for cooking cheese raviolis, and it's basically the dumpling or pierogi method. So we're going to take a nice tablespoon of butter right into our pan. We got a little bit of seasoning and everything else left. This is how I do it. We're just going to take these cheese raviolis, lay as many of them in as we can fit in this pan. Didn't boil them. These are frozen ravs, and this is all we're going to do to cook them, so that way we end up with a little bit of crispy, a little bit of al dente, and then when we put that meatball and sauce over top of this, whoo! Oh man, it's going to be good. It's going to be real good. Alright, so we're going to let these raviolis toast for about 7 minutes, give or take, on this side, and then we're going to flip them all over, and then let them go another 5 to 8 minutes on the other side till they're golden brown and delicious. And one more time, happy birthday, Steve. Alright, it's the final countdown here on our special edition. Our raviolis are toasted and golden brown on both sides. Turn this down. We got our plate ready, dressed with a nice bed of spinach. So to get this ready for service, you want sauce? Coat this first. Again, because we pan fried that ravioli, that's going to give it the ability to soak up some of that moisture. We're going to add to it about half of our meatballs. We're going to hang it out in what I'm calling a meatball jacuzzi. Toss this way. Alright, we're going to let this simmer for about 5 minutes before we plate. Alright, who's ready to eat? I'm ready to eat. I am starving. So let's plate this. And as you can see, the sauce is kind of thin to start with, but those toasted raviolis that were nice and dry, just in that 3 or 4 minutes, soaked up a good deal of that sauce. That's going to impart so much flavor. Let's get this out onto our plate. Alright, it's that time, folks. Here's our tuna meatballs, homemade tomato sauce, pan-fried raviolis, topped with a little shredded mozzarella, and a light shake of oregano on our nice bed of spinach. This is a takes all day to make type of meal. It's also, at the same time, comfort food, soul food, whatever you want to call it, of the highest order. And it's going to be amazing. First, let's get in here, try a meatball. I've never had a tuna meatball before today. Grab a little piece of spinach, perfectly browned. Oh, whew, that is delicious. Now, until you have this in your mouth and you actually try it, you might think the following sounds a little weird, but that tastes exactly like if you took a good quality Italian sausage and mixed it with tuna, with fish. So it's just perfectly blended, balanced, all those Italian seasonings that you come to expect in a good sausage. No fennel, which is good because I don't like fennel, but everything else. And then on the back end, there's just a little bit of that fishiness. And tuna, that's good. And that sauce, whoo! You can just put this sauce in a coffee mug and drink it. It's that freaking good. Oh, man. Whew. Grandmama's meatballs and sauce, old world style. You just can't get any better than this. You really can't. Actually, probably if the stuff was really made by Grandmama, it would probably be a little bit better than mine because she's been making it for about 80 years, I would guess. That being said, for a not at all Italian white guy, I think I did Grandmama proud. This is definitely the type of meal that you need a cigarette after. Or better yet, some gelato or spumoni. See, that sauce is so good. Just a few pieces of spinach with some sauce on it. Magnificent. This is so good. Now again, I spent a lot of time on this today. You make this at home, you're going to spend a lot of time on it. It's well worth every minute. I want to thank you for tuning in to Cook It and Eat It today, this very special edition for Steve's birthday. Grandmamas, Italian, vintage recipes. Mwah! Phenomenal. If you like my stuff, make sure you keep tuning in on Thursdays, because we still got more of Bacon Extravaganza Month coming your way at our normal time slot, 6 p.m. Central on Thursdays, as well as the occasional pop-up video bonus features on extra days whenever I feel like doing something a little special for you. If you like my stuff, comment below, share this video to help me grow the world, and we'll see you again real soon. And in the meantime, and in between time, from me to you, remember, be weird, be free, and most importantly, be independent.